my daughter, who is a rock star as far as I'm concerned, sits down with me and I go over with her the list of videos, the things I've done, what stories am I missing, and oh my God, there are so many, there are thousands and thousands of stories to choose from. So, what we do is just write down 4 or 5, 6, 7 as they come to mind and then just spit them out. So there's no particular rhyme or reason, no order, and I don't figure it matters anyway because it's YouTube. I mean, people are going to click them anywhere they want. I mean, it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not a set list, so, you know, really what does it matter? But anyway, I do these little videos. It's about random things that have happened in my life. Not trying to complain. I'm not looking for sympathy. I am trying to get stuff off my chest. I am trying to show people who think they know me and who think they've all got it figured out that they don't have a damn clue. They don't have a clue who I am. And maybe if they will take the time and sit down and watch some of these videos, they'll get a little insight to me and maybe change their perspective. Could go better, could go worse, I don't know. But a lot of people think they have me figured out and they just don't. So I do little tidbits and little stories of different things I've seen and been through, and I've only gotten started. This is actually the 100th video, and I can't wait for the 1,000th. And that probably sounds really ridiculous to you, but there's just a lot of stuff going on in here. Anyway, I was going to do story popped off the top of our heads was about the time we lived in the house that ended up getting condemned. And this is a crazy story. I was married, a couple of kids. We lived in town. My husband left. There's a video about that. Just got up one day, said bye, see ya, and was gone. And he had already notified the landlord he was leaving and stuff, so the landlord immediately started sweating me. I had not worked in 10 years. I had been very fortunate enough to be in a situation where I could stay home with my kids while they were little, in their very first beginnings of school and things like that. I was very fortunate for that, and for that I will always say thank you to my ex-husband because he worked very, very hard. We didn't get along. We didn't get the whole idea about love. We were too hard-headed, but the things that truly that he deserves the recognition of, I will always give him, and working his butt off is one of those things. It didn't matter what the job was or how nasty it was. He got out there and he did it, and I appreciate that for him. It let me stay home. But there did come a time when I kind of had to get back out there and get going and stuff because he decided, you know, that he was going to leave. And he had already notified the landlord that we were splitting up and that he was leaving me. Didn't know how I was going to pay the rent. You know, I hadn't worked in 10 years, blah, blah, blah. So the landlord starts coming around questioning, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And starts sweating my nuts about getting out. As a matter of fact, I come home from work one day, and we're not even behind on the rent yet, right? Because we at least have the months left that he left, that my husband left in. We still have a couple of weeks. And the landlord comes in one day while I'm at work, nobody around, invites a couple of painters to come in, and they paint everything. We had lived in a house that one person owned. We were allowed to do some things and some painting, and then it sold to this gentleman who then got wind of, hey, I'm leaving my old lady and she can't pay the rent, so that he knew he could pretty much bully me out, get in there, get the new rental property up and going. He didn't want a problem right off the start and was going to eliminate it as quickly as he could. And one day I come home from work and he already had some painters in there that had painted over everything, had pulled the carpet up, everything, because he figured, A, if I could come up with the rent money, which was going to go up because of the improvements, I would appreciate the improvements. Or B, it would piss me off and I would have to go, and he's not going to lose any time getting the jobs done that need to be done. So anyway, I'm out looking for a place to live. I come across this house that's got a rent sign in the front yard, and it's a nursing home, and it's a larger home. And I go and I knock on the door because apparently their lease is up and they're moving to another facility. And I go and I knock on the door, and the lady talks to me about it and says that another lady owns it who lives in another town. But yes, it's for rent, and it's X amount of dollars a month, and that it's a wonderful home, and that they have this home for, you know, elderly people. They kind of house sit them. It's kind of just a small nursing home, but within just a single residential home. I wanted to look around. It wasn't a good time. She said to come back the next day. That would be fine. I totally understood, because I just knocked on the door. So I come back the next day, and she's showing me around. We go into the front room, and there's a couple of older people, and they've got their stuff. Next rooms. There's a couple of rooms that she didn't want to let me in. First was the bathroom, because she said that there was a gentleman in there doing his business, and we didn't want to, interfere with that. And hell, I knew what a bathroom looked like. And then she didn't want me going off onto the side room because her spouse, her husband, someone was in there asleep. Didn't want to wake them up because they would have to be going to work. And me, being a dit dot, I never thought to look out into the backyard or anything. I just saw a house that was in the price I could afford. I wanted so desperately for my children not to lose their backyard. I did not want to go to an apartment. I fought it tooth and nail. And so I decided we would do this thing, and she got a hold of the owner of the house. They said they would be out at this date. I could move in at this date. I sent all my money, Western Union, to the owner. Everything was good to go. Never even saw the people. Rocking right along. I move into the house, and the first thing that I notice is why they didn't let us in all the rooms. First of all, they left the front room, the closet, full of all these old people's things, and it's so horrible. And I was only there a short while, and I tried to make sure that they were accessible if anybody wanted to come and get them, because these were scrapbooks and photo books and people's memories and lives. And these people that were caretakers, I just guess didn't care. I don't know. But then as I worked further back into the house, I could see that at one point of the house, had kind of just sunk. And I had not been allowed to go back that far that day. So there's another room back in the back that's sunk. There's an air conditioner that doesn't work, that's leaking water everywhere, that's buckled the floor. There's a huge hole in the living room floor that had been hid by a couch. The backyard is just atrocious. My fault, should have looked, stuff falling in and stuff, so I knew my kids would never get to play in the backyard until I got it cleaned up. Then we went off into the side room that the spouse or the other person was sleeping in. I was not allowed there, and now I know why. It had a door that went to the outside that would not shut because the house had shifted so much. The door would not shut, and just beyond that point was like where the laundry room and stuff was supposed to be. And it had already shifted so bad that you couldn't open doors, and you couldn't set the washer and dryer side by side. You set the washer right here, and you set the dryer here, which blocked off a door that went to an office, which was fine because you couldn't get in the office because that was a major sinkhole. Whatever had happened when the ground shifting, this took the brunt of it. Also, this house had 2 bathrooms. The first time I came by, I wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom because the gentleman doing his business. Well, I don't know what business he was doing because that bathroom freaking sucked. There was no floor underneath the toilet. You precariously kind of hovered. So it got to the point that we just weren't going to use that and not be safe. The water that came out of the bathtub was gray and red and rusty until it cleared up. And then you got it all cleared up, and then you'd have 3 inches of water in the bathtub, and then you'd have to wait 45 minutes for the water to drain, because apparently what all this cave-in in the yard is about is got the plumbing all jacked up. So you get the water to run clear. As soon as it runs clear, you turn it off. You let the bathtub drain, which takes forever. Then you turn the water back on, only putting a little bit in to try to bathe 2 small children, because I have small children at this point. Okay? So you no longer you use the bathroom there. You used the shower and the bathtub facility there. There was no shower. There was a bathtub to try to get a bath and get clean. You could not use the toilet unless you hovered. Wasn't going to happen. You go to the second bathroom, which is off of the bedroom where the guy was sleeping. You get in that bathroom and that's where everything is pretty much dive bombed, the yard. And you've got a toilet that is literally sitting on an angle, but it still flushes and works and does what it needs to do. In front of the toilet, you have an old shower stall that was strictly just a stand-up shower that has already had about 17 bags of concrete poured in the bottom of it because stuff backs up into it, and this way it would stop it. So apparently when you flush the toilets, it just ended out back somewhere. Speaking of out back, when I go out to clean it up, I'm finding parts of dogs that are still chained to their chains that have literally been able to starve to death out there in the backyard. It was horrible. It was horrible. Another shed full of old people's things. It was horrible. So I immediately got on the phone and was trying to get a hold of the owner. Of course, she couldn't be reached. I couldn't get a hold of the other lady that left. The next door neighbor that lived there that I happened to get to know and become acquainted with just could not believe it. She came in, she took pictures, and she thought she was helping, and she turned it over to the city. Well, the city come and slapped a condemn sign on the door, and I had to get out immediately. I had nowhere to go, no money. I couldn't get any of my money back. So we ended up in an apartment that had a 1 month rent, 1 month move-in kind of a deal. I mean, it was my last-ditch effort. It was $400 I could scrape up just to run, and we had to get rid of a lot of stuff, and it was a horrible situation. And I tried to get a hold of that woman, and she just never did the honorable thing. Never gave my money back. I think the house eventually was tore down and stuff, but it just sucked, man. I thought we were, you know, fixing to move on, and you know, my husband had just left me, and I didn't want to go to an apartment, and I'm like, I can do this, and I just got back to work, and after 10 years, and then we had that happen. And that's something that a lot of people don't know, and I'm just like the rest of you guys, but I have one thing after another, after another, after another, after another. It's not like, oh, I had this situation, and that sucked. Oh, I had that situation, and that sucked. No, I had this one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and the two I left behind. I have them all the time. Anyway, not trying to complain. We all have stuff. I'm just sharing mine with you. Mine with you. Whatever. Anyway, some days, if you stick with these videos long enough, you'll learn how to figure out what I'm trying to say when I get all flabbergasted. Anyway, hope life is good. I hope you're good in it. And I hope you have a lot of peace in your heart. Have a good day. Bye.